Solar power to be provided to 1 million homes. President launches Surya Bala Sangramya National Program. Chairman of Avantgarde, Nisanka Senadipati, and former chairman Palitha Fernando released on bail after being arrested by the Bribery Commission. Invitation extended to the SLF peers from the seniors of the party.
සියලුම ප්‍රධානය ඇතුළු සියලුම පාක්ෂිකයන්ට ආරාධනා කරනවා ඊළඟ මැතිවරණ ජයග්‍රහණය සඳහා ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයත් එක්ක එකතු වෙන්න.
Chairman of the Lanka Development Bank ousted. Questions raised on why certain persons connected to the People's Bank have been summoned before FCID and the Bribery Commission.
Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
I'm Stephanie Loudworth. Let's start off with a look at the top story for tonight. The Surya Bala Sangramya program commenced at the official residence of President Maithripala Sirisena today.
Under this project, the Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy aims to create micro-solar power plants at 1 million households in the country. The first solar-powered system, which was installed at the President's official residence, was activated this afternoon. Thereafter, the inauguration ceremony of the Surya Bala Sangramya program, dubbed as the Battle for Solar Energy, took place at the BMICH. Newsfirst is the media sponsor for the program, which is organized by the Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy, the Ceylon Electricity Board, the Sri Lanka Sustainable Energy Authority and Lanka Electricity Company Private Limited. The Surya Bala Sangramya program aims to reduce carbon dioxide emissions from thermal power plants to 150,000 metric tons per year and to add 1,000 megawatts of power to the national grid by the year 2025. Under the project, solar panels will be provided to 1 million homes in a bid to encourage these consumers to produce electricity to meet their energy requirements, while consumers can also earn an income from the excess electricity generated. Most of the former presidents, not all of them, resided at the Presidential Palace in Fort. There are several reasons why I did not reside at the Presidential Palace in Fort. One of them is the massive cost which has to be incurred for the maintenance of one president, which comes at the expense of the public's money. If a president resides at the Presidential Palace, and if you look at the bills in the past, it costs around 7.5 million to 8 million rupees per month for electricity alone. There should be a 24-hour supply of electricity for the underground palace. This is the issue even today. Even though I do not live at the Presidential Palace in Fort, the monthly electricity bill is over 2.5 million rupees. We know how much of a debt burden we have upon ourselves and the economic crisis we have before us. With all of this in our hands, if we manage to overcome in the energy sector, we, as a country, a government, the treasury and every living being in this country can gain freedom to their daily life. Development in our country is picking up pace. We are rising as a nation in the world. We are in the process of formulating the basic necessities required to build our economy. At a time like this, energy security is essential for our country. We will transform every roof to a micro power plant. Ordinary people who never thought that they would be a power generator are ready today to be power generators and suppliers. Those persons are needed right now at this point of time.
Right now, Chairman of Avantgarde Security Services Private Limited, Nisanka Senadipati, and its former chairman, retired Major General Palitha Fernando, were arrested by officers of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption earlier today.
Recently, the Bribery Commission filed cases against Nisanka Senadipati, Palitha Fernando and 6 others for causing a loss of 11.4 billion rupees to the government. Cases were also filed against former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, former Additional Secretary at the Ministry of Defence Damayanti Jayawardena, former Navy Commanders Admiral Somatilaka Disanayaka, retired Admiral Jayanta Kolambage and Admiral Jayanta Pereira, as well as former CEO of Avantgarde Security Services, Major General K.B. Egodawala. Bail was granted to Nisanka Senadipati and retired Major General Palitha Fernando after they were produced before the Halsdorf Magistrates Court this evening.
The assault on the Sri Lankan High Commissioner to Malaysia was addressed in Parliament today.
ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ මැලේසියාවේ සිටින මහා කොමසාරිස්
It is saddening to note that the Sri Lankan High Commissioner to Malaysia, Ibrahim Ansau, and his officers were assaulted by LTTE sympathizers at the Kuala Lumpur airport in Malaysia. Do you accept that Sri Lanka's respect and diplomatic status has been damaged through this?
රාජතාන්ත්‍රික භාවය බව පිළිගන්නේ
මන්සාර් මහතාට එල්ලූ ප්‍රහාරය ශ්‍රී ලංකා රජයේ
There is no need to mention that the government of Sri Lanka condemns the act on High Commissioner Ansar. We acted on it. I instructed the acting Minister of Foreign Affairs to immediately summon the Malaysian High Commissioner and express our displeasure over the incident. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa was representing the SLFP at that summit. Since that is important, he had flown to Kuala Lumpur and not gone to the convention in Kurunagala.
මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමා හිට ඒක වැදගත් නිසා එතුමා කුරුණෑගල සම්මේලනයට යන්නේ නැතුව එතුමා ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම කුලාලම්පූර් වලට ගිහින්
Why are you laughing?
එච්ච වැදගත් කියන්නේ නැති මම නැති මම ඔබතුමාට කියන ඒකාබද්ධ නෑ ඒකාබද්ධ දැන් මම නෑ මේ දැන් මම කියන ඒකාබද්ධ විපක්ෂය කියලා සතෙක් නම් ওই සම්මේලනේ නියෝජනය වෙන්නේ නෑ ඔබතුමාට දැක්ක
It is good that he went to Kuala Lumpur rather than going to Kurunagala with you. We do not blame anyone. According to reports, persons from the Nam Tamilar Kachhi or We Tamils party were involved in this. There is a branch called Nam Ilaka Malaysia. Information reveals that they are not Sri Lankans.
දැන්ට කරන විභාග වලින් එක්කෙනෙක්වත් ලාංකිකයන් නෙමෙයි
මහා කොමසාරිස්තුමා නියෝජනය කරන්නේ අපේ රට.
The High Commissioner represents the country. Therefore, Parliament must definitely condemn this assault. As the Prime Minister mentioned, they are not Sri Lankans. They have made politics of the Tamils in the northern part of Sri Lanka as part of their agenda.
ඔවුන්ගේ දේශපාලන න්‍යාය පත්‍රයේ කොටසක් බවට පත් කරගෙන The incident by itself needs to be condemned. And I would urge that stringent action must be taken against the offenders. If they are Sri Lankan citizens, it appears to me from the Prime Minister's statement that they are not. We might even consider whether they should be extradited to this country and charged in this country.
දිනේෂ් ගුණවර්ධන පැතුමට මතක ඇති පසුගිය රජ කාලේ
MP Dinesh Gunawardena, you might recall that during the previous government, High Commissioner Chris Nonis was attacked. What did you do?
මොකද්ද කරුවේ ගරු කතා
Honorable Dinesh Gunawardena.
සජින් වාස් ගුණවර්ධන
The incident was between former monitoring MP Sajin Divas Gunawardena and High Commissioner Chris Nonis. It happened during a dinner after they consumed substances. I am sad that the leader of the house is unaware of the facts. You cannot draw parallels between the incidents.
ඒකට තත්ත්වයකට සමාන කරන්න බෑ
මහා කොමසාරිස්තුමාට තමයි
The High Commissioner was not given adequate security. We believe that the Malaysian government will ensure that such acts will not take place again.
රාජ්‍ය වග බලා ගන්නවා ඇති කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා.
Following our views expressed by former President Mahinda Rajapaksa in Anuradhapura yesterday.
ජනාධිපතිතුමා ආරාධනා කරා බලවේග හදන්න නැතුව ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ එකට එකතු වෙලා යමු කියලා.
මේ අර පළයන් කිය බෙද බෙදා එක පැත්තකින් නිකන් සම්මුත් කියනවා.
ඔබතුමාට ඇත්තටම ඉන්න තිබ්බ නේද සම්මේලනට අවශ්‍යතාවය?
අවශ්‍ය නැහැ නේ. අපි අපේ සියලු දෙනාම අපේ කණ්ඩායමම තීන්දුවක් ගත්තම මම මේ කණ්ඩායමට විරුද්ධව තීන්දුවක් අරගන්න බෑනේ මට.
A media briefing was convened at the SLFP headquarters today. Party seniors were among those present for the media briefing.
There are some who assume that the party will be destroyed simply because they resign as organizers or if they criticize us. That is simply deception. If one steps out as party organizer, there are hundreds more who can take that position. The next issue we face is the selection process. President Maithripala Sirisena answered the questions raised as to how the Sri Lanka Freedom Party will emerge victorious. How will the SLFP be guided to victory at the next elections? He was clear that the next elections will be contested under the symbol of the hand. At the 65th anniversary of the SLFP, all these questions were answered. If these answers did not give them any clarification, there is no other way to make them understand. We call on all the leading members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and the others to accept the President's invitation and join with the party to emerge victorious at the next elections. Join with the symbol of the hand and the colour blue.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයත් එක්ක එකතු වෙන්න කියලා. ඒ වගේම අතලකුණත් එක්ක එකතු වෙන්න, නිල් පාටත් එක්ක එකතු වෙන්න කියලා. සත්‍යාධික පක්ෂයෙන් පැමිණි
Except for the UNP representatives, the representatives from all other parties who were present were there with the hope of joining with the SLFP to form a massive alliance. The President invited everyone to ensure that everything falls in place. The Kaduvela magistrate today permitted the Police Financial Crimes Investigations Division to impound and investigate a sports car said to have been owned by Namal Rajapaksa.
The sports car, a Ford Mustang, was seized by the Police Financial Crimes Investigation Division yesterday.
He was given a permit and he purchased a vehicle from it. All MPs purchase vehicles. He sold that. Now it is with a new owner. It was purchased through bank loans and it has also been sold. The owner did not know until it was seized from him.
Police said that the vehicle was found in a vehicle yard in Kaduvela owned by a person by the name Sudesh Veerasurya. The FCID also investigated an incident where the aforementioned individual had provided the Carlton Sports Network a sum of 4 million rupees. Investigations have unearthed that the car was sold to a woman by the name of W.M. Shanti several months ago. She is the wife of slain alleged criminal Jiboy. Police say the current owners of the car have failed to disclose the means of income to purchase such a car. Police also said that the car in question had caused an accident by crashing onto a three-wheeler on Baseline Road in Narayanpeta on the 1st of May 2014 without any number plates. M.A. Harsha Pushpakumara, who was injured in the accident, visited the FCID today and identified the car.
The car was an unregistered racing car with a Cobra decal. I was unable to move for about 2 years due to the leg injury I sustained. A complaint was filed with the Boralla police and they took me to hospital. Police bail was granted to them. The car was also released. The case was to be taken up on the 22nd. On the 21st they filed a motion and police took me from hospital for 2 hours. The son of Edirisinghe brothers told me that he would give me a house and anything that I wanted. They did not take me inside the court. 500,000 rupees was deposited to my wife's account. A house was given to us on rent for 1 year. They told us that they would speak to Gotabaya and get us another house. That was the end of it. When the case was being taken up, they had settled everything. I did not know how such things took place.
Following an event held to distribute aid to students of rural schools in the Western Province, Minister of Finance Ravi Karunanayake shared these views.
Although we asked them from where they received all these assets, they never revealed it. However, now when they are brought before the law, they have no answers to give. Now they will say that we are trying to suppress them. They speak as if they were reborn. They broke down the economy of the country and pickpocketed money from the people's wallets. Now what we ask them is to step aside and let us rebuild the economy of this nation.
Lasantha Gunawardena has been removed from his position as chairman of the Lanka Putra Development Bank.
Secretary to the Ministry of Public Enterprise Development, Ravindra Hevavitarna, said that the Central Bank of Sri Lanka had not issued the certificate of eligibility accepting Lasantha Gunawardena as chairman. The secretary added that the Central Bank had informed that Lasantha Gunawardena had not met the requirements of the Monetary Board of the Central Bank for the position. Meanwhile, representatives of the Jatika Sevaka Sangame of the Lanka Putra Bank opposed the decision to remove Lasantha Gunawardena from the post of chairman.
When he was appointed to this bank, he brought the non-performing loan rate, which was at the 40% mark, down to around 35%. Employment opportunities were given to the youth at the bank, but due to the interference of those who were against these actions, steps have been taken to remove him. All of us banking officers request that he be reappointed.
The COPE report, which was released on the 23rd of March, had revealed that several irregularities had taken place at the Lanka Putra Bank due to the intervention of Lasantha Gunawardena. The report says that Gunawardena had failed to follow proper procedures when granting loans, adding that he had not taken any measures to address the fact that the non-performing loan rate stood as high as 39%. The COPE report further notes that Lasantha Gunawardena had decided on interest rates according to his own wishes when granting loans to certain customers. The report adds that 64 officials who did not meet the required qualifications had been recruited to the bank between January 2015 to March 2016.
The People's Bank has responded to allegations of a fraud that had allegedly taken place at the bank in relation to the digitization process adopted by the bank.
Alleged fraud said to have taken place at the People's Bank was reported by the Ceylon Today newspaper yesterday, and the project valued at 700 million rupees was at the center of the alleged scandal. The Ceylon Today newspaper report states that the issue was brought to the attention of the Prime Minister by two members of the People's Bank Board of Directors. However, in a letter to the Lakbima newspaper, the People's Bank rejects the statements that any details pertaining to the IT project and its tender procedure were brought to the attention of the Prime Minister by two members of the bank's Board of Directors. The People's Bank, through the letter, reiterates that the necessary tender procedures were followed and rejects claims that attempts were being made to provide preferential treatment to a single vendor. The letter published on the Lakbima newspaper further notes that such media reports are an attempt to sabotage the digitalization process being adopted by the bank.
We did investigate the story. Once we dig into the story, initial information, we found that there's truth to this story, and we started receiving written evidence. Once we started breaking the news step by step, we started getting information from all kind of sources. We checked it, double checked it from different sources, and once we get it confirmed that we can believe in whatever the written evidence we have, we started proceeding with it. We are going ahead with our stories based on the evidence we have, and it's up to the People's Bank to deny it or defend themselves. If there is no evidence, why People's Bank took a decision to suspend the digitization project? Why certain parties are going to FCID and Bribery Commission in the coming weeks? You will get to see it.
Water is life. During the Gum at the 100-day initiative, we came across people who shed tears for not being able to fulfill one of their most basic needs in Bilachia, Anuradhapura.
The Gum at the 100-day initiative.
For many years, more than 100 families in the Tulana area in Wammiura, Vilachia face severe difficulties due to the lack of water to engage in their day-to-day activities. Today, the Gum at the 100-day initiative highlights the plight of these individuals who live amidst numerous hardships.
We have been living like this for almost 70 years. We are not able to say that we had no trouble obtaining water. For about 1.5 months, we have been living without water. We do not have water to bathe our children or to perform any household activity.
The efforts these locals took to build a water tank in the area with their hard-earned money have been in vain.
The two things that we lack is a well and a motor to pump water to the tank. So I request you to provide these people in the area a motor and a well. If you could do that, it will be a meritorious deed.
Gum at the 100-day initiative's only hope is to resolve the issue of these locals who pay to obtain water to engage in their daily needs.
We have to pay for the water they bring to our doorsteps, but what we earn is not enough to purchase water.
You can now extend a helping hand to these locals in the Tulana Vilachia area to resolve their problem through the Gum at the 100-day initiative. Join us to make a difference in one's life.
The Gum at the 100-day initiative was praised by the Central Provincial Council.
I witnessed a very good program on Sirsa called Gammadda. We watch this program and we say what an insurmountable task has been carried out through Gammadda. Therefore, I need to thank the Sirasa Media Network. I also request the Sirasa Media Network to visit the villagers in our province that are marred with many issues and solve them for the people. Sirasa is a network that serves the people. I must also mention that Sirasa is a media institution that carries out tasks after making wise decisions. A protest was staged by students of the Uduville Girls' School in Jaffna today.
A group of students entered a hunger strike last evening against terminating the services of their principal. They charged that the decision to terminate the services of the current principal had been reached based on an influence of a certain faction. We need our principal. We trust her. That is why we, together with our parents, have commenced this strike. They have not made space for the students to even have a farewell for the principal. They said that this principal will serve for another 2 to 3 years. However, now it is a different story. A student who engaged in the hunger strike was admitted to the Jaffna Teaching Hospital this morning. However, speaking to Newsfirst, a spokesperson at the hospital noted that the student has been discharged following treatment. There have only been 8 principals in the 190-year history of the school. A majority of these teachers have been serving over the age of 65 years. They are asking the current principal to retire at the age of 60. She had, however, notified the administration that she is willing to continue her employment here. The interview board comprises of Thiagaraja Sumandiran's wife and Sumandiran Jr. Sumandiran's wife had said that the past pupils of the school, who are currently living in many countries around the world, had requested that the principal be reinstated to her position for longer. Meanwhile, Northern Province Director of Education S. Udayakumar and Secretary to the Governor Ilankovan had held rounds of discussion with the teachers of the Uduville Girls' School in this regard. The students had chanted in protest when the Director of Education of the Northern Province had attempted to leave the school premises from the back gate. The 80th annual general meeting of the Ceylon Planters Society was held in Colombo yesterday.
The event saw the participation of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, Minister of Plantations Navin Dissanayake, several other parliamentarians and planting executives covering all parts of the island.
If you look at tea, our markets are gone. But there are other countries who hasn't got that problem. Because too long did we focus on the Middle East and Eastern Europe. In the last 10 years, who is to blame? Someone will say the government, the previous government. Alright, are they the only people to blame? Did the totality of the industry say, we want to move out? And on coconut, we can't make up our mind whether we want coconut or whether we want oil palm. I think about 10,000 acres of plantation crops will have to be cleaned up or taken out of plantation in the western province, part of Matara, Kurunagala, Kagalla and Kandy for industrial development. So are we going to write it off? Or are we going to replant elsewhere? I think replanting is the option.
Go for a productive wage model which all of us want. Therefore the unions have to agree to that model because it is based on productivity. And this is the model that the whole industry wants and needs. So I feel that we can very quickly move into that model. Our teas are still fetching the highest prices overseas, which is about $3.5 to $4 per kilo. Our cost of production is very high. Therefore, either you increase productivity or you bring down the amount of the cost factor.
This industry, which was the backbone of the country's economy, is now facing one of the worst socio-economic problems today. We believe and trust the present government and the private sector investors who are in the plantation business can find solutions for our problem. So we appeal to the Honourable Prime Minister to facilitate digital and web-based marketing as against the present outdated traditional system still in existence for the vast benefit of a privileged few.
Tokens of appreciation were presented to former presidents of the Ceylon Planters Society, including Neville Atukorala and several others.
Please stand.
A public seminar on the Geneva Resolution, Federalism and the Administration of the Country, organized by the Global Sri Lankan Forum, was held in Colombo yesterday.
Next elections will be in 5 years' time. Mahinda Rajapaksa will be 75 years old. I'm less than that. But I know I'm not fit anymore. He's going down temples. You can listen to that talk. It won't attract the young people. Remember, the next set of voters are not going to be Gunadas, Amarasekaras and Gomindas. They may be in another world. But it is the young people. The reconciliation process is very important. We should leave this problem for the next generations to solve, because they will solve it more sensibly than us.
As pressure mounted on the Geneva front, the previous government hired expensive US PR firms to defend the country. Between May and September 2014, government paid a staggering $6.5 million to these groups. But the total amount paid to foreign PR firms is much.
A media briefing for the 9th session of the Sri Lanka Model United Nations was held in Colombo under the theme Localizing Global Goals.
In the 1940s, a man who could not walk and in his later years had a failing heart came up with the notion of the United Nations. I'm talking about Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Right after World War I, the League of Nations was obliterated. It was in this background that after World War II that Franklin Delano Roosevelt decided that the world needed the United Nations. So it was the result of 2 world wars and the mind of a paraplegic that the United Nations was born. It attracted 51 nations at the time. But sadly, today, it is the United Nations itself that appears to be at war with itself and paralyzed with ineffectiveness.
At Esselmund, debate is a form of negotiation in which all sides seek mutually beneficial results, emphasizing negotiation rather than confrontation, working towards conciliation rather than condemnation. The education value of this activity is difficult to describe and impossible to measure.
Why is there an institution or a concept called Model United Nations, and what it is exactly about? An individual or a student, for that matter, coming into a base or coming into a consensus, coming out of student learning platforms such as schools and being involved in problems bigger than their own, taking the responsibility by looking into gaps within society, down from economics to security to political affairs, and taking that responsibility within themselves to tackle problems that go into a global forum such as to build a better future.
Sri Lanka won their second outing of the World Campus Cricket Finals played in Colombo today.
The Sri Lankans took on the team from UAE today. Batting first, Sri Lanka scored 216 runs for the loss of 7 wickets, thanks to the efforts of Shehan Jayasuriya, who hammered 101 runs. UAE in reply only managed to score 115 runs for the loss of 9 wickets in their allotted 20 overs. Devin Padmanathan and H.G. Jayavikrama picked up 3 wickets apiece for Sri Lanka. England meanwhile defeated Bangladesh by 25 runs today. Batting first, England posted 169 runs for the loss of 8 wickets. In reply, Bangladesh only managed to score 144 runs. South Africa also clinched their second victory today after defeating Australia by 54 runs. The lads from South Africa posted 186 for the loss of 6 wickets in their 20 overs, while Australia only managed to score 132. Pakistan eased to a comfortable win against India today, clinching a 5-wicket win. India posted a score of 176 runs for the loss of 8 wickets, which Pakistan was able to chase down in 17.4 overs.
Meanwhile, Australia hammered 263 runs against Sri Lanka in the first T20 international being played in Pallekele, and in the process claimed the record for the highest team total in a T20 international, which was previously held by Sri Lanka. Chasing their target of 264, Sri Lanka were on 86 for the loss of 4 wickets after 9 overs. Well, that's a wrap of Primetime News. I'm Stephanie Lazarus.
And I'm Srin Silva. Take care and good night.